Hello everyone, my name is Chrissy and welcome to my channel. Today I'm doing a book review of The Lies of Locke Lamora by Scott Lynch. This is a high fantasy book about thievery and heists being pooled. To get into some trigger warnings, there is torture and violence, and there is mention and a scene or two of sexual assault. And it's more talking into background history about certain parts of the world where it mentions the sexual assault. So it's not really a scene with the main characters and the current plot lines, but there is mention of it, so be aware of that. To get into the summary. So, of course, this book is about a guy named Locke Lamora. We start the book out with him being an orphan in the city of Kamor, which is pretty much like medieval Venice. He is taken in, or rather sold, to this guy named the Thief Maker. The Thief Maker, as his name implies, trains kids in order to thieve and do petty crimes so that he can later sell them on to other gangs. And Locke, who is already talented in the art of thievery, ends up making a few mistakes that go against the rules of the gang that he's part of, and the Thief Maker then sells him to a guy named Chains. Now, Chains is a priest, kind of. He's a priest of, like, the god of mischief. I don't know if it's the god of mischief. I forget what his name is, but it's like the 13th god. And but Chains pretends to be a priest of another god and ends up swindling people out of their money. And Chains teaches Locke and a few other kids how to take from the rich and not give to the poor but keep for themselves, but how to take from the noblemen. This is actually a big no-no because there's a secret peace between the noblemen and the thieves. And what that peace is that if the noblemen turn a blind eye to the thievery, then the thieves will not go after noble people. They'll just stick with, like, the middle class to lower class. Well, in the present day plot, when Locke's older, he and the other gentleman's bastards, so his other gang members, which are like only 4 other people, end up pulling a heist on this guy named Don Silvera. And they're trying to get like thousands of gold pieces from him. Unfortunately, there's a bit of a bump in the road in both the heist and in just Locke's general life, where this other guy tries to come in and take over the role of kappa. Now, the kappa is the head of all the thieves' gangs, so he's the guy that the thieves pay taxes to in order for quote-unquote protection. In other words, like, the kappa will not beat them up if they pay taxes. So that's the pretty much main plot lines, is Locke trying to pull off this heist while also trying to figure out how to dodge this guy who is trying to take over the kappa position, and he doesn't do it very well, but that's neither here nor there. Needless to say, I loved this book a lot. This is probably one of my favorite fantasy novels that I've ever read, and that's pretty high on the list. I've read some really great ones, but this is definitely up there. Scott Lynch's writing is just really balanced. I think he does a really good job of pacing his book to where it's not too information dense at any one given time. Like, he has what's called interludes in his book, where it either talks about Locke's past, so him growing up with Chains, or it talks about the history of the city and how different, like, brothels or gangs, came into prominence. And it's really well balanced in that it's not thousands of pages long for just this one little snippet of information. Rather, it's like a really short interlude to say, here's how this all happened and why this is important. And I just thought that was really well done. So do know that there are multiple kind of like timelines. There's a timeline of Locke in his childhood, then Locke in present day, and then like the history of Kamor that's riddled in there as well. However, Scott Lynch does an amazing job balancing all of these. Like, I was never confused about where I was and what timeline I was in. So, fantastic job to Scott Lynch on managing that, because really, when I try and think about writing a storyline that has, like, multiple moving parts like this book does, it gives me a little bit of a headache, because I'm like, how would I do it? Like, how could I plot this out? That sounds like so much work. So now to talk about the world building. As stated with the pacing, I thought it was just really well balanced and well done. I could see the city and could imagine it in my mind really clearly. And I thought that with Scott Lynch, he does a really good job of giving you the information on an as needed basis and not just bogging down any one scene or any one spot with so much information about the city or the world. This book does have a lot of influence from Venice during the medieval time period. And I think they even speak a little bit of Italian. I can't really remember off the top of my head. But there is a lot of like Italian like influence and a lot of words that you're gonna like Don and Donna and Kappa, those kind of things that will let you know that influence is there. I thought that was great, by the way. I have no complaints about that. So now as far as the characters go, there is a large cast of characters. So you're talking about not only the 5 gentlemen's bastards of Locke, Jean, the Sansa twins, and Bug, but you're also talking about like Chains, the thief maker, Danya Salvera and Don Salvera, and then like the Kappa and all his gang. So there is a large amount of characters. With that being said, with a large amount of characters, there are going to be characters that just aren't as fleshed out as others. For example, I was kind of hoping that there would be more with the Sansa twins on being able to differentiate between the two, because they kind of fall into the stereotype of being so like each other that you can't really differentiate. And granted, the more I think on it, the more I think that it's probably on purpose because it would be a really good idea for thievery if you couldn't really tell who is who. But at the same time, I just wanted to have more of differences between the two so I could tell. I love the relationship between Locke and Jean. I think that their friendship is very much put onto the page where you can tell without even saying, hey, they're best friends. Like, they act like best friends. So I was really appreciative of that as well. So I'm really excited to read the next 2 books in this series. Now, I don't know exactly when I'll be able to get to them because I've already figured out my TBR for January, so I might put them on the table for February, or at least one of them on the table, because they are really thick fantasy books. And admittedly, the Locke Lamora, even though I was heavily into it, still took me a long time to read because it's 720 pages? 722 pages. So it took me a while to read the first one because of the length of it. So I have no doubt that the second one will take me a little while too because I think it's just as thick. Have you ever read The Lies of Locke Lamora? If you have, what did you think of it? Was it favorable in your opinion, or was it kind of like, whatever? Is this on your TBR? And if it is, please, if you read it, let me know what you think. I love talking to people about the books that they read and what they thought of different plot points, because I have thoughts. But I did not buddy read this, so I had no one to share my thoughts with. Thank you so much for watching. I'm hoping to do more book reviews. It's weird getting back into doing book reviews because for a while I was so focused on school and then I was just doing like TBRs and book hauls. And so trying to get my thoughts back in order to do book reviews has been a process. But that's okay because we'll get it done. So thank you for sticking with me. And as always and forever, may you get lost in a book.